here.
Oh, okay.
We have been. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Greetings in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We're gathered here today to talk about LL research. We'll be talking about past lives, but we're also talking about some other related phenomenon. Something we were just talking about was this thing with the multiple witnesses in Miami, Florida, claiming it wasn't kids fighting in New Year's, which invited so many cop cars. There was 8 to 10 foot shadow being aliens that were being shot at by people, with others running for cover. And so we were just saying how this fear anger thing is a service to self thing, and whereas if they were service to others, extraterrestrials, it would be of a love and kindness kind of thing. And then Fred was also telling us about the ant people of somewhere out in the west. Yep. All right. But otherwise, did we want to move on to
say about the whole Miami thing?
Okay, go ahead.
You know, like how bad would it be if that was actually first contact? You know, and they came down. They was like, "Oh, there's lots of people here. We'll make first contact here. Hello, Earthlings. We come in peace." And all the people in Miami are like, "Oh my God, there's aliens!" Bye 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 bye.
Well, now you know.
Exploding, screaming, running, and the aliens are like, "This planet's a bit rubbish. Let's go."
Now you know why they have to slowly open up, because that's what happens when people aren't informed. So they get fearful, riots and police and the whole works. So, yeah.
And aliens can't just turn up where they like. They've got to kind of arrange where they're going to turn up. Otherwise, all the humans go mad and shoot at them. That makes sense. I get that. Aliens, if you're listening, pick your battles, man. Find the right spot. Don't just turn up in a mall in Miami. It's the worst place to make first contact. You're just going to get shot at and stuff. Terrible idea. Just find somewhere better. There's lots of places you could have gone. I'm sure that wasn't the best place in the world to make first
Miami.
Contact. I'm just saying.
Not Miami. Yeah. That would be awful.
Aliens go to the Mall of America in Minnesota.
I'll be there. I like the Mall of America. That's pretty cool to go to.
Yeah, it's
according to a couple of people out there, aliens really can't land because the frequency of their flight would actually shut down. It would be an EMP effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a couple of reasons why. So that apparently just all the electromagnetic radiation that we have at this kind of level means that most types of alien actually would really get pretty fucked up just walking around on the surface of Earth. So that limits them somewhat. The actual kind of, if they made their ships in third density, the way they work would like fuck up our atmosphere really bad. So it's kind of hard just to get them to turn up here. What other things? There's loads of different reasons why they can't come here.
Part of their
like in actual real form. But I think most of them is because humans are too angry and would just shoot at them. I think that's the main reason across the board.
Yeah. Truly, that is.
There's pictures of the alleged alien here.
Can you blow that up? There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks really cool. Look at him. He's so shiny and white. Oh, he looks lovely. I want to give him a hug.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks.
And that's what causes the riot.
I might consider shaking his hand or just go, "What's up?" and walk away.
That's all it takes to cause a riot. And we wonder why they haven't visited us like openly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why even in the New Testament, it has a warning that says, "Be careful to entertain strangers, for some have entertained angels unawares." Those angels were visitors.
I think that happened to Noah, they said, right?
It's been happening throughout history. It doesn't stop.
Yeah. For sure.
There's always something here watching, observing. It's weird.
All right. did we want to try a quote on past lives, or you guys? We could look up something on aliens if you want.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about visitations and actual first contact? Why they don't turn up? What does Ra say about why they don't turn up?
Okay.
Not that I want to diverse. I was quite up for the past lives one, but just to say.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And hi, Des.
Yes. So maybe we'll do at least one past life thing, just because, and then we'll see where we go from there. All right. Did you want to read it, Robert?
Okay. Yeah,
Let me see
gladly.
it. All right.
I see it well.
Good.
Let me gather myself first.
Okay.
You shocked me. Okay. From September 27 of 2008. It is, however, to be noted that in the larger sense, all present-day relationships undoubtedly have their roots in past lives. Those who have incarnation upon earth today have incarnated time and time again, moving within a certain group of souls who, through many lifetimes, have had many different relationships with each other.
All right.
You're not my real dad. That's all I want to say.
What? I didn't catch it though.
Yeah, I didn't catch it either.
We have you have many lives together. So sometimes you're the father, then you end up being the kid and all this other shit. So I'm just saying you're not my real dad.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, a lot of soul groups incarnate like that.
Luke, I am your father.
And I've been okay with that thought since the early 1990s.
Yeah,
I
know.
kind of thought a couple of times that maybe we're all connected some way in a kind of soul tribey way.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that 110% because you all, the majority of you guys, showed up all at the same time. All at the same time.
That's what's fun too.
It was like you trickled in. It was like a 1 week, it was like a huge amount. And then for the next like month or so, the rest of you trickled in. And then I can't get rid of you.
Sorry.
Yeah. That we did move in like it was a wave. It was a wave of people consciousness coming in.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then look, we're still all here doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And like if I'm in like the tribe, I'm all the way over here. How the hell am I possibly gonna communicate with any of you guys? If it wasn't for something like this, you're getting called to that point at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's all
it's
synchronistic
true.
at work, in my opinion.
No
Go
kidding.
Woo.
For sure.
I hope I wasn't like a dick in my past life, because honestly, my actual past life, I think I was a dick. So like,
Yeah,
Like the
well,
literal-
that happens.
And
Well,
Well,
that's
he
what
said
I
he was
wonder
a
about
Nazi.
myself
I was
sometime
a
because
fucking Nazi.
I think
swear, seriously, the more I go back, the more I'm convinced that I was a full-on like experimenting on people, doing weird occult shit Nazi. Like it's like scaring the crap out of me.
I
So I'm
once
quite interested to learn about past lives. And one of my mates was like, Ed, when you go on one of your rants, you do sound like an angry German. I was like, oh man, I want to hit you. God damn it.
He was probably one of Jesus' disciples.
Well, in my
So
past life,
everybody needs to mute if you're not talking then, because you guys are all talking all over each other when you do talk. So like everybody mute theirs, so then when they talk, then we all can hear each other. Now go ahead, Andre. Sorry.
well, in my past life, I was a gray alien, but we did have like one of those Antarctic bases near some Nazis. That was the closest.
Susanna and I went remote food one. But I had a couple of my past lives done. It was kind of cool. And then I connected to the beings that were above my house in that same sense. They were like looking down on me. It was a pretty cool experience. And then it was weird too because I like it. It felt like as if here's me, my physical, and then there was like me sitting behind me, like a little further back, and it was like everything just went and all lined right back up. I did some like healing. It was pretty cool.
That's so weird because that's well how I found it as well. I thought of it as like one of those Russian dolls. If that makes sense. And like just underneath each layer, there's like another layer and another layer, then another layer and then another layer. It was like they were all stacked on top of one another. Like just below my face is his face, and just below that face is their face. Do you know what I mean? It's really fucking weird. Like, but that was exactly how I perceived it as well when I did it. Like,
and they have different levels that you have to pass through each time. Each one is a different type of energy filter kind of thing that it responds a little bit differently than the other one, and it tests you in its own way to make through that level.
Did
to
we
be
want
fair, I
to?
haven't gotten any. Oh, sorry, Andre. I haven't really got any further than the last one, just because like I keep getting stuck at that guy. I swear he's trying to communicate with me now. It's really, really weird. It makes my skin crawl off. Anyway, Andre, sorry, dude, didn't mean to interrupt.
Doesn't it just kind of like balance itself out to the point where, you know, you have, as soon as you go into a 3D life, you're going to have some sort of karma. So if you go through a whole cycle, 25,000 years, that's a lot of incarnations. You have a lot of leg room to balance that karma out in the midst of all that. Some lives you're going to be an asshole, some lives you're going to be a saint. And in the middle of all that, the point is to be 51% positive.
Well, is it the Kali Yuga? Which is like in Hindu, they believe that everyone has to go through like an ultimate evil incarnation.
Well, I
your
mean,
Kali Yuga incarnation, where you are born to be the most evil. You in the Kali like temples and that they actually do stuff on fucking temples of skulls and all sorts of stuff because they're supposed to do that on that incarnation. So there's a kind of weird little place for the opposite polarity in that system of incarnation. But I feel that if that guy did rack up a load of bad karma, then I've taken the brunt for it, maybe. And I feel like I am now trying to balance those things with all of my good deeds and my positive learning and works.
I have a question. Does everybody incarnate unless they're like a drop into a body? That's a question that I've often wondered.
Well, then I would assume before though, if they were just dropping in at that point. Right? Every soul is going to end up coming through at one point or another.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, not all. I mean, all the souls, based on seniority of vibration, can incarnate, and then some of them may walk in, but walk-ins are fairly rare. But yeah, in terms of what we were discussing just a couple minutes ago, in terms of the quality of life, that's more of a kind of a luck of the draw. But in order for actual graduation, it's not based on your average over several lifetimes, but based on your basically your final moment of your final life, and that's because that's when you're walking the steps of the light, and that's when you find out if you're past, to fourth density or not.
That kind of sounds like when you repent last minute.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, you could still do it last minute, but it's just your security is higher because you don't know when your last minute will be if you just keep on pursuing service to others all the time.
So how do you balance that and religion? The separation between this harvest and I don't know what Christianity or something like that. Like, are you religious? Are you like you and your wife and stuff? So you think it is? I'm thinking harvest, and then Jesus is coming back and whatever. Do you think they're like the same thing, or
Well,
Like the rapture and the
I'm really
harvest.
asking? I don't know. So I'm curious. I wanted to hear what somebody else thought.
there's multiple interpretations, and my understanding is basically Christ coming back. That's when you die, and then like that's when you meet God again
So
or
do you
whatever.
think that's harvest time?
Well, we are in the harvest time right now, and so it is the
Jesus is
like the
on his way,
Confederation
dude.
says. Huh? Yeah.
Jesus
Well,
is on his way, dude.
it's just the Confederation says Jesus isn't coming back, like not in the physical sense, but like in terms of the way that Jesus has come back is through all the channelings that are available, and then
I
through
thought
each of
that
us.
it came down to Jesus coming back was us taking on Christ consciousness.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why that seems more like a baptism than a finality. It's a movement forward with a blessing.
That's where
really
we kind of crystallize our consciousness, right? You know.
Did you read the Jesus in the Scenes, Andre?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. I talked Robert into getting it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's mostly about the Essenes, but at the end, it's got some Jesus in there too.
Yeah, but I like it's kind of cool to learn about them and then really see like just I don't even know how to put it into words.
Yeah, that was actually I think the book that brought me to Jesus, because I realized that he was actually a nice guy that wanted us to be nice to each other, because I'd never heard that from anyone before.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's a big secret, especially amongst Christians.
How can they control you otherwise?
Exactly.
That's the vision of Jesus in the book of Revelation, where he returns as a conquering hero. And he brings a sword and death, and he's depicted that way. You can see it if you look for it.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's the Messiah that the Jews wanted.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not the Messiah that the Jews got.
They wanted.
So they were like, we'll still get it. I hope. We're going to write this book called Revelation, and then we're going to pretend that he's going to do the things that we expected him to do. But that's just
if it is
Where
to
they're the
achieve
last ones
Christ
standing.
consciousness, and that's what he came back to teach us, because that's kind of what Tom, that channeling that Tom says. You know, Tom of the Nine. He says that basically the Jews need to remember that, like when Jesus returns, that's when they have to turn back to oneness with Creator, rather than following Yahweh as in like a monotheistic rather than pantheistic view. So, if you were to say that when we all ascend to Christ consciousness, then that might be the Messiah that they're waiting for, that makes them turn towards the light, stopping the bottleneck that Tom talks about. Anyway, I digress. It's just like that actually kind of makes sense to other channel stuff.
Here, we've got a Kuo thing too. Do you think there will be a return of Jesus Christ? We're those known to as Kuo. It is our sincere belief that you are the Christ. It is our belief that each of you was sent forth from the Father, as this instrument calls for one infinite Creator to be his daughter and to be his son. The tongues of flame have touched your lips. The Spirit has descended upon your head, and you have been created, and you shall change the face of the earth. We realize that you are young spirits, you are young co-creators, and yet the power to create is yours. That which you forgive is forgiven. That which you lift is lifted. That which you reach forth to heal is healed. It is difficult to take ultimate responsibility for Christhood, and yet we say to each of you that the individuality that you see as yourself and that which you say as I is an illusion. The personality shell that you experience is very helpful for working within the field of earth, for doing what you came to do, living and breathing and being and blooming. Yet it is not all of you. It is not the earth of you. It is, as you ask again and again, in each day, create me to see who I am. Help me to realize my true nature. You're opening the way, little by little, to begin to feel the essence that is the consciousness of love. The one known as Jesus did not wish to be worshipped. The one known as Jesus wished to be seen as one who was doing the will of the Father. We ask each of you, what is your will? Who is the Creator? Who's your Creator? And how shall you follow the will of the Father for you this day? This instrument prays every morning that she may hear the word, and that she may in her flesh and in her mistakes and in her every moment be used. If you but open yourself to the possibility of Christ within, you will understand that the I am that is truly you is the way, the truth, and the life. All right. Well, I think you guys get the point.
So where's Archangel Michael?
Archangel Michael. I don't know. I haven't heard that one.
Just wasn't a metaphor.
I think that, if I remember correctly, it's just like it's someone who was Michael in a past life. The four archangels. Question. Okay, this is final name. My final inquiry. Archangel Michael. Okay. We are aware of your query, my brother, and we are those of Kuo, and find that our only relevant piece of information that may be of interest to you in this wise is that there are in truth only made up or created names for all entities, so that when seeking the truth of an entity, it cannot be found at the level of the name. It cannot be found at the level of speaking and creating a shape and a timbre and a vibration. The actual name of the one known as Archangel Michael is an energy field of vibration that has its melody, that sings its characteristic song just in such a way is your nature that of a melody, an energy field, and a harmonic that is an exquisite and unending detail, so that it is a word, it is a sublogos, it is you, and that song is your name, and we see that name when we greet you and when we call you by name, and that is the name we use. That is actually why we always express it as the one known as D, the one known as the instrument, the one known as G, and the one known as J. The actuality is that each of those within the circle is a magical and brilliant crystal whose being is a name that shall be forever. We give you this, my brother, because we are unable to discuss the question of the names of the various entities. It is by far too confusing and meaningless at our level to deal with. We do not have great success in dealing with names, and we thank you for our time together. Great blessing to you all. So, there you go. It's just a name.
No, it's not. No, it's not. He actually said outright that what we define as Archangel Michael is actually a fuck of huge energy field that works on a vibrational level to affect all of our lives. It's kind of mind blowing, really.
Right. So, well, it's what that vibration that you understand it. Yeah. That resonates with you.
I like where they also said we do not have great success in dealing with names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not big on names either, to be honest.
That's one thing I have a hard time remembering is names and dates and stuff.
Yeah, well, they're not very.
The other bit that he said in there that was interesting, that he said that when you say a name or a word or whatever, you actually form a shape. You remember saying that in there?
Yeah. A characteristic song.
No. When he says about when you, it's a little bit for down. So
doesn't every, like a Hebrew sign have, or letter or whatever they're called, have a vibration to it that they can? I was just watching.
It's a solfeggio frequency. Each
like
vowel in the Hebrew language is a solfeggio frequency that is kind of like there's 9 of them, but there's 7 predominant ones, I guess, and they're kind of you can say that they line up with the different chakra points. I don't really know about that. I'm not a frequencyologist, but Yeah, I do remember that, and that the Hebrew and also the Sumerian language. The Sumerian, I guess,
Sanskrit.
Sanskrit, that's what it is, Ed. Yes, that's right. You know about that?
Well, it's Ra talks about it. Ra says
Okay,
that the only two languages that actually have the actual correct resonance for magical work is Sanskrit and Hebrew. And Sanskrit's the only like old language that we actually kind of developed here, and Hebrew was given to them by aliens. Anyway, it said in their shape. He said vibration, timber, blah 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 blah. But
Timber and a
shape.
vibration. The actual name of the one known as Archangel.
No, the only that created a shape. Yeah.
Shape.
No,
Creating a shape and a timber.
Why did you move it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's right here.
It
cannot be found at the level of
speaking and creating a shape and a timber and a vibration, right? So,
yes.
you know, I don't know if anyone's heard this thing about how they've found out a way of communicating with dolphins or translating dolphin language.
Yeah.
Have you heard this?
It's a 3D hologram.
Yeah. Basically, when they make those sounds, it actually projects like a what's it called? Climatic pattern through the water that makes shapes that can then perceive the shapes via the sounds that they make. And they reckon that most animals communicate to each other by making sound shapes. So a cat's meow can also be put into this climatic thing and make specific shapes variant to its language. So that they think that lots and lots of animals communicate by making shape with specific timbre and vibration. Like they're telling us stuff.
Pardon my musical ignorance, but what's timbre?
Timbre's like a vibrational pitch in music.
Cool.
What exactly does pitch is not volume, and
No,
it's
like
not.
tone. It's like what note it is. Like la 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 la.
Okay.
17 pitches.
Okay.
So each one of those would have a different timbre. But then that could also come down to the tone of the sound, how you sing it. So it'd be like, oh.
Well, look at cymatics.
But that's what I'm saying, right? They think that words, like our animal sounds, the way that animals communicate isn't through the actual sound. It's the sound makes a shape, and that shape is what they communicate with. Yeah, we just don't communicate that way, so we don't realize that this is how the shapes work. So I'm just saying, Quo just said in there that when you say something, when you say a word, you say a name, you form a shape. Like, I'm just saying.
It also says you can't find it at that level.
No, you can't find any like relevance on Michael, the actual energy field, obviously. But it's saying that you cannot find it by creating that shape. I'm just saying, like. Anyway, sorry, dude. Like, if you're an alien, and you don't really understand how human beings like understand and communicate and get these things, but you know that the words make shapes. Yeah, so you're going to say that, but we're not going to understand it unless you start thinking that way. Anyway, sorry.
So to answer your question about the timbre in music refers to the quality or color of a sound that makes it unique and distinguishable from others. Allows you to tell the difference between the same note played on different instruments, like a piano and a violin.
That makes sense. Kind of the actual kind of tone of the note, if that makes sense. Like I said, or whatever. That's still pitch. Anyway, we digress.
Did we want to read the next past life quote?
I do.
Robert? Okay. Here it is.
From April 1st, 2006. There are so many sources of guidance that are around you that to discuss them in depth is impossible, but we can simply name them. They include, as you said, angels, and there are many varieties of angels, pixies, elves, fairies, nature divas, and spirits of all kind, the essences of elements, their spirits, such as undines, sylphs, naiads, dryads, and all of the totem with which you have been associated in past lives. As well, there are many entities in the inner realms who are drawn to you when you are conspicuously loving, patient, or intent upon the truth. Passion for goodness, for fairness, for love, or for devotion to the one infinite creator all draw to you entities that dwell within the inner realms in one capacity or another. And so you may have about you literally dozens of helpful, loving sources of inspiration and guidance. Each is in harmony with the other sources of guidance that are about you, and they constitute your family in the unseen realms. Also to be considered are those entities which are associated with you in other densities, especially for those of you who are wanderers.
All right.
Well, that was most informative.
Mhm. It's quite a
Fully
few
love
entities
it.
there.
Yes. Burnt lands all the way.
What's the especially for us wanderers thing?
You'd
Also
have been
to-
to higher density levels, so you're going to have higher density interactions. You're then going to be coming back to Earth in third density, but you're still going to have those, those interactions. Same as us that have had lots of third density interactions are still going to be linked to the fairy kingdom in some way, even if we can't see them anymore.
So basically, what they're saying is, if you're a wanderer, you're going to have more paranormal and
No,
phenomenon
you just have
related
higher density
experiences.
experiences.
Well,
Yeah.
you're traveling
You just
from
have
a higher
experiences
density.
with higher density things. You could have experiences with loads of fairies and not be a wanderer because you've just had cool Earth past lives. What you're saying is that all of the things that you interacted with in your past lives are still linked to you in some way, and all the ones that you're gonna, as a wanderer, you've already had things that are, like should be in your future that you've experienced that are linked to you in this life in some way. I just really like that whole thing about the fairies, man. That's awesome. Like one of the best books I think I've ever read was this book. This guy went all the way around England and Brittany and all over France and like the Celtic areas, and he just went out and he recorded all of the fairy stories before they got lost. Yeah, and he said that basically his working theory is as cities grew and people got more densely packed in together on top of one another, yeah, less people were out in the actual kind of wilderness, out in countryside, out in there, and so less people saw them. And slowly but surely, they just kind of gave up on us, and they gave up on even bothering speaking to us because so many of us were just blind in this big phase where we couldn't connect to anything. So we're all just this big bubble of people on top of one another, and it's only the few people out in the countryside that could still speak to them and chat to them and do work with them. And so they just gave up and they just popped off to the burnt lands. And you really have to really work hard to find them since about 1600s. And it sucks. But anyway, yeah, that's my input. I love fairies. So, I really hope that all my seeking and my passion for knowledge and all the other things means I get one of those brass pair of glasses. It means I can see the burnt lands. I love that so much. Oh, little rant over.
Spiderwick. Spiderwick. There's a show called Spiderwick. Got to do with fairies and everything. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I got a friend who's got like 80 acres, and he lives in a little 10 by 10, and he says basically like he's like a hermit there, and so he interacts with a lot of these like fairy creatures and stuff, and they at some point, like one time he woke up and there was like a block of kindling just hovering above his face. He like swatted it out of the way, and it's like and then another time he was tracking some like a deer or something, and then like he would walk along and then he could see the elf or whatever sitting down on the branch next to him, but he could just see like the branch would just go down like something sat on it, but he couldn't see anything on it. He's just like, what's going on? So like they're there.
That's the peripheral vision stuff. Definitely. It's like when I'm out walking in nature, there's things out way on the very edge of your ability to see on that periphery. There's that the light is different over there, the way it's angled and it has to go through more. It's just weirder over there. You can see it. There's stuff there, and that's where people hallucinate too.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've seen how many of you have heard of that story about when you find a feather in your path where you're walking, that's a message of some kind. Yeah, right. Well, where I live, there's constant feathers in certain parts of the town because there's a turkey massacring plant right there. But anyway, the other on New Year's Day, I was walking and there was a little feather, a little baby's feather, a little, small bird's new down feather. And it was on the sidewalk on New Year's Day in Minnesota. So that was kind of weird. And it was kind of a grayish color. And then not more than 5 minutes after seeing that little feather, there was a dead snake right in the middle of my pathway. And I took, speaking of like the elves and sitting down and the energies around you, I took that was a message at the time. I was definitely like hearing about the flight capabilities, and you're able to transform yourself shedding skin. The snake transformation is amazing energy for Native Americans.
So yeah, so the summary here just says like there's diverse guides, and embracing qualities like love, patience, and truth draw closer the guiding spirits, and they have an inner harmony, and you just got to be open to their guidance, and some of them may be related to your past lives, and cultivating passion and goodness and unconditional love is helpful, and exploring the inner realm and acknowledging the unseen. So even though you can't see them, but as long as you acknowledge them, you can benefit from their role in your spiritual growth. All right. Oh, I did find. Go ahead.
What about scars and birthmarks on you? Isn't that some sort of an indication sometimes? I've heard that multiple times.
Oh, from past lives? Yeah.
Yeah, so they reckon that like, if you've got a big birthmark, that could be kind of the injury that killed you in your last life.
Yeah.
But remember me saying about how my last life I thought I was a Nazi? Yeah. I went back to the point where I died, and I died with all these bombs going off and all this fire everywhere, and it was all like I remember getting all burned and dying. Right. I've had eczema since I was a little kid that has felt like I've torn holes in my skin, so it feels like I've got burns all over my skin, and I've had that my whole life. So I would 100% agree that you carry over injuries from that past life into this life. And I think that is the root of my eczema that I've had since I was basically born. I think it is literally the past life trauma living itself in my present day condition.
Yeah. Now, what about injuries that you get in this life, like injuries in your childhood that leave scars and that? Does that have anything to do, you think, with anything?
It could. You'd have to do the meditation to figure it out. Yeah. But yeah, that is
that
very
skin thing
standard.
is pretty crazy though, isn't it?
Yeah, and then the soul speak, that's exactly what it says, is that eczema and rashes are often because of a person has died because of by fire.
No way.
Yeah, it says that. I can look it up for you.
What? Man, that's madness.
Yeah, no, it's there. It's there. Yeah, I'll grab it.
I've never read that. I've never heard that before. When I said about my experience, and I said about kind of this whole feeling like I was burning to death. Yeah, my girlfriend turned around and she was like, "Oh my God, do you reckon that's why you got eczema?" And like, man, that just blew my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking.
Anyway, yes, sorry, I didn't mean to like gate crash, but like I said, this past life thing is quite intriguing to me because of the fact that it's like that, and the fact that I'm sorry, I don't know anyone, that's looked back to look at their past life, and then they've found the person in their past life meditating, trying to speak to them. It's like a fucking feedback loop through time. Who has had that? Who's ever had? I've never heard of anyone having that. It's like, what the fuck do I do? Because I think he's evil. I don't. How the fuck does he talk to the guy? Like, I don't want to chat to you, Nazi boy. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Come on, I would appreciate advice here, because like that is a big deal, right? I'm
Well-
meditating here, trying to get in touch with my past life, and then when I get there, I find him meditating, trying to get in touch with me. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, you just gotta be nice to yourself. That's what I find.
Oh my good God, that's a whole nother thing. Do you think that my whole kind of low self-esteem, kind of somewhat hating myself as a person, all stems from the fact that I used to be a Nazi? God,
It
this is
could be
blowing my
related.
mind.
But you gotta forgive the Nazis. That's what I've learned.
Hey, look! I'm not saying that he was typically bad just for being a Nazi, although I don't think that's a particularly good political belief. I just feel that like the things he was doing, I wouldn't do those. That's not
It's
kind of
supposed
Well,
to go.
not anymore.
Ed,
Not in this lifetime.
Ed, it's supposed to go. Know thyself, accept thyself, become the creator. That's the steps.
Okay,
Here,
well,
so
I'm learning about myself via
that you don't
some other
feel
guy I don't want to be. It's kind of weird.
right, but you know that in with if you have logic and you're not under the stress of war and probably at some point in time having a gun to your head telling you to behave a certain way and to hate a certain group and to do a certain thing you might not want to do or be there, you have the capability of making your own free will choice. You don't want to be that person. So I really fully think that probably 90% of the people in Germany at the time of the war doing those jobs, being soldiers, killing people, and running all the equipment that operated the war, most of those people didn't want to be doing what they were doing. They were scared.
Okay, just Fred. Okay, so give me some context, yeah. Well, like the first experience I had of this guy's life, I'm assuming was World War One, and he was sitting there and his leg was all mangled up, and he was in the trenches. There was all bombs going up, people getting blown up and shit, and he had this wooden table and he carved out all like sigils and runes and things on this table, and he poured some like blood on it, and then suddenly all of this like weird like light started coming out of the wound on his leg, and it all healed up. Yeah.
nice.
Like it was going to go gangrene. You'd have had to chop that leg off. That was like, it was gone. Yeah. But he did this thing, and then his leg healed up. Yeah. Right. So then it kind of flicks on a bit in his life, and he's all on crutches and things. Yeah. And then it flicks on a bit, and there's like all these different bits of his life that just like flooded into me. Like I knew it as soon as one little flash of instant, and it's like I knew the whole storyline that led to it. Yeah. And then it went to like this bit where he was like in a lab doing experiments and things. And that's when I think he first noticed me looking at his life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's clearly some kind of occultist, like, quite well trained to do the whole leg healing thing in the first place, right? So then, then goes on a bit later. And then, like that's the bit when I'm assuming when I'm meditating and he's trying to speak to me and we keep getting this, like, looped thing, right? But then the last time I went in, when I went and I saw him die, like, he was doing fucked up shit. And I don't mean he had a gun to his head. I mean, he was, like, in charge of running occult fucking experiments. And he was loving shit, man. He was, if it hadn't been a bombing raid, I think he was going to be really proud of what he was going to do for the Fuhrer. Like this, man, and the thing is, like, as I witnessed this shit, it's like I knew it. And it's, like, really fucked up experience. Like, how do I recognize?
Amanda,
How do I
do you
sort that shit out in
remember
my head?
Israel having the same type of thing that he's talking about right now? I'm pretty sure Israel had a past life thing exactly like how you're explaining.
So here I got the quote here.
Seriously?
Yeah, many past life regressions have shown eczema, a burning red rash of the skin, to be the residue from being burned to death in another life. It may have carried over as a reminder or to caution you of the activities that led to the incidents of the burning. In other words,
Don't be an evil wizard! Oh
Yeah,
my god!
God. Yeah.
Don't
In
be
other
an evil
words,
Nazi wizard! Oh, your skin will fall off then. Okay, thanks.
yeah. In other words, there may be similarities between the two lives that are serving as a warning. Another thing as common as the skin is a birthmark. Birthmarks have been found to be residue and indicators of trauma, of how you died in another life. They don't usually have any kind of health impact, but can be removed if you find this message is giving. It is giving and make the connection. Okay.
Can I just say, even that makes loads of sense, yeah? Because of the fact that in it said about how you're both on the same path. Yeah, I've 100% feel that we are both scientists that are learning the occult to try to understand the actual fabric of how reality works, and how the like philosophers that are using scientific inquiry to understand magic. Yeah, and that is how I've approached it the entire time. But I just don't think that he had the same kind of moral kind of
Compass.
service to other mentality about it.
Mhm.
And I think that that's what the exposition reminds me of. Be service to other, otherwise you're going to get your skin blown off by the allies.
Right. Right.
And I want to interject real quick. When I was a young boy and I watched Christopher Lee Dracula movies made by Hammer Films, and he was my favorite vampire model, good old Christopher Lee. And so I'm like a young 9-year-old boy or so, and I just worship the concept of vampire in my little mind. So I actually set up an altar and I prayed to it, and I wanted to be like this vampire. And it wasn't too long afterward, I had a full-blown head-to-toe eczema.
Wow.
Yeah, I was covered with a skin rash, seriously, from head to toe, just everywhere. And it was oozing and itching and burning. And yeah, I must have died in a fire too for doing pagan worship or something. I don't know what the hell.
Yeah, there was a lot of people being burned at the stake.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you might have gotten burned at the stake for doing it.
Being a vampire, yes.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah.
I have to say, dude, you do have a kind of little vampire thing going on there, man. I can fully imagine there being you're actually sitting there in some castle in Transylvania. You know,
yes.
He really does.
Thank you very much.
Look out of the windows, the Carpathian Mountains, and you got people on spikes and shit.
Latvian Impaler.
Yeah, the Carpathians.
So should we
Fond
read the
memories before they burnt me.
I know. Those were the days. People were expendable to the nth degree.
True. All right. Do we want to read the next one, Robert?
God, yeah, please. Well, what trauma can I endure next?
Okay. You waiting on me?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. July 15th, 1990. Now, can you forgive another and have that power to cease the inertia of karma for another? Not at all. When you forgive another, you do not affect the other unless he chooses to observe the difference in your attitude. You are working upon the only thing in this universe which you can work on, yourself. Part of forgiveness is forgiving others. The further part is forgiving all the situations which created this pattern. Some of you are more aware of past lives than others, And for those of you who trace the pattern that is unhelpful to what you would call the karma of a past life, know that there is no karma or inertia which is not braked completely and stopped forever by unconditional forgiveness of the other, of the situations, and of yourself.
So there you go, Ed.
There you go.
All you have to do is
Question
forgive
answered.
yourself.
Thank you very much.
There, have an amen.
Love my nasty science ex self.
Yeah, because I know the other day
Exactly.
you were saying that, I think it was you that said it, that it almost sounds like he's talking about karma, in the aspect of love your neighbor as you love yourself, and so you're always in this consistent good karma wheel. Maybe it wasn't you, but still sounds good.
It was hard for me to hear you, Des, even on high volume.
All right, can you hear me now?
There's a really bad echo.
Or is it coming in again? Hold on.
Sounds like you're across the room.
It sounds like you have your head stuck in a 5-gallon bucket.
Basically, yeah.
It does.
That's a good-
Well, it's made out of aluminum, though, so it's acceptable.
Aluminum 5-gallon bucket. Yeah.
Yeah, it's acceptable. It's got the shoulder cutouts. You know, it's like,
So, but I
All
heard
hail
something about karma
Plankton.
and forgiveness.
yeah, forgive others, situations, and yourself. So, what describes a situation? How do you define situation?
Well, I would see, when I heard that, I immediately thought of, say, the pharmaceutical industry. You have people that are pushing drugs. They got their degree in sales and they got hired by a pharmaceutical company. They got hired by Bayer, and they're supposed to go doctor to doctor pushing their drugs for their company. They're doing their best job in the world. They're the best salesman. They love their family. They love their friends. They're a good person. They might even go to church every Sunday. But the mechanism is evil. And until they know that, once they do know that, they have to not only forgive themselves and all the people around them, but to forgive the mechanism that put them there, the mechanism that put food on their table, the mechanism that made the drug companies, the mechanism that got us to, all the different situations in the world where communism and fascism erupted and shit hits the fan. You have to forgive all that. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And then they cast lots to divide his clothing.
Yeah.
And I know the Confederation has mentioned like that our whole part of our purpose of incarnating is to get into these really complicated, hard to forgive, hard to love, hard to accept situations. And then once we're all scrunched up and don't know which way is up, and then we can forgive the unforgivable and love the unlovable and accept the acceptable, and then use that as a springboard of spiritual growth. Applying applying unconditional love to the Gordian knot. Yeah, that's a word. All right.
Or it's sometimes known as the Gordian maybe.
The Gordian maybe. Yeah. All right. Do we want to do the next one or anything else?
I'm always willing to read. If you're
Okay.
ever wondering, I feel it must be an exercise of my throat chakra that I'm in dire need of.
Mhm.
Especially this stuff.
Or I can expand on the forgiveness one a bit more if you guys want.
Could you do this one like a Transylvanian Terence McKenna? I'm just asking.
Well, I want to know exactly what you mean.
That's a little Italian, I think.
That was Italian. You're right. That was way south of Transylvania.
It'll settle, dude. It'll settle. I was loving it.
All right. I guess we'll do it.
Yes, I see it now. June 25th, 1989. If you are able in this incarnation to serve others more than half the time that you are doing something, you have succeeded. And we are not speaking of ritualized ways of aiding people, such as the job and so forth. Nor are we speaking as if one could not be of service to others in solitude. But it is the person whose will has been brought so into alignment with the desire of the Infinite One that those things which one has to face each day are faced, realized for the lessons that they are, and assimilated. There is seldom going to be a perfect day, shall we say, for a human entity, because each entity has biases because of willfulness in past lives. One cannot explain these biases. One is merely aware that one has somehow fallen short. Indeed, that is part of the human condition. Indeed, each has fallen short. This is an excellent lesson for each student of truth. All fall short, all fail. No entity may find the kingdom of the Father by itself or with any ease. There must be a dependence upon love, a realization, a brave willingness to realize that the Creator is real, that the Creator loves and forgives and has forgiven all that is misdone, that the Creator has no low self-esteem, that the Creator has no low self-esteem, but rather work for you to do. All right.
Mhm.
It's got work for us to do.
Yeah. Forgiving, loving, and being kind to one another.
Wow.
Great work.
Yeah. So you guys want to discuss
Okay,
this?
so just to say, the biases brought over from my last life. Honestly, I'm not racist. I'm not anti-Semitic. Like, I don't hate gays. I don't like any of the biases that came over. Well dealt with. You, just trying to say, from my past life, I may well have some interesting biases, if that's to be believed.
Well,
But it's okay. I think I've conquered all of them. Don't go
I,
around,
I just
beating Jews
wonder.
anymore.
I wonder if some of what they mean is, like when I hear somebody say certain things, ignorant, whatever language, it will actually trigger me like anger, like to anger. And I wonder if past life experiences has anything to do with triggers, because there are some triggers. I know triggers that trigger me, like somebody says something and just randomly throws out the N word. That does trigger me. That's just one example. But there's other things that aren't like that trigger me as well. I know you, and I might have even said this to you guys before. There's a certain Bob Seger song that just makes me angry. I don't know why. I remember when the song came. I was alive when the song came. I think I was alive when the song came out. But I that couldn't have been a past life experience thing. What is it the same thing, or is it two different things causing the same reaction?
And the now, nothing to do with that.
I couldn't understand you,
Yeah,
Desiree.
Desiree, it sounds like you're farther and farther away. But in terms of Fred, what you're saying, I think that there must be something that's triggering you in the song, and then maybe if you do some meditation, you can figure out what it is that's triggering you. Desiree says, I think it's a you thing, not a past life thing.
With the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, what song was it?
Turn the page.
Oh, you got to be kidding. Metallica does a better cover of it anyway.
It rakes my spine. I don't like it either. I've heard it.
There's a lot of songs I don't like.
The song is about him being on the road and how horrible his life is because he's a rock star and he, lives like a rock star, I guess.
Well, that part where he talks about when he walks into a restaurant and everyone's looking at him and he doesn't know if they're thinking he's a man or a woman.
Yeah.
Because long hair. He's a rock star. Because in the 70s, you could literally get beaten up in small towns anywhere across America for having long hair as a man. Yeah. That's why he mentioned that.
It's true.
That's really, really odd. I mean, because I know that having long hair gives you like supernatural advantages over.
Yeah, which frightens
11 centimeters.
What's that, Ed?
Was it 11 inches or something? You said
11 centimeters.
11 centimeters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to say about this whole kind of like biases thing. Yeah, I was thinking about it. Right now, on my whole journey of my spiritual learning, you go into kind of learning the magic stuff, and everything brings you back to Hebrew. It's like the cornerstone of Western occult kind of practice. Yeah. And for some reason, I just had no interest. As soon as it came up to Hebrew, I was like, right? The tarot. It was such a struggle for me to actually embrace the tarot because it's all linked to that same kind of Hermetic-based thing. Whereas the runes, I just picked up the runes like they were nothing. Like this is like a straight up thing. I mean, Jesus Christ, there's runes on the Nazi uniforms.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah, you talk about bias,
given the context of your past life.
The Hebrew thing, but instantly, like instant connection with the runes. Yeah, that's just past life biases, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be.
Yeah.
But you're also instantly connected to the ancient use of the swastika by the people of India, what now is called Pakistan. I believe they used it.
The swastika represents the movement of the Big Dipper around in the Four Seasons, doesn't it?
Maybe depends on what direction you have it rotating.
But that comes down to North South Hemisphere, I think.
Well, that could be too. In the Northern Hemisphere, if it rotates to the left, that was considered dark magic, and the rotating to the right is light.
Yeah, because in the original swastika was like they used to call it the wolf star, and it would be something that you'd put on if you were to go hunting or into battle to be kind of like, protected or to give you whatever. So it was quite a very well used term in Germanic culture. It's not like it was stolen from anywhere. It was a very widely used term in the ancient Goth and Germanic cultures for a very long time. So it's a widely used symbol everywhere, really. Enochian magic uses it loads. So it's linked to both of them, really, when you look at it.
Is there something about Enochian key that makes sense to you? Is there an Enochian key?
Well, yeah, I mean, like really, when you John Dee, who's the guy that kind of really, I think he was one of the people that first translated the Book of Enoch properly, but he also did the kind of the magic of it, and he translated the language Enochian first. So
you're talking about the John Dee that was Queen Elizabeth's.
Black Mirror guy. Yeah, he basically is kind of the father of Enochian magic. And he was the one that kind of, I suppose, would have created the key to understanding how Enochian magic works. But
he's also the one that 007 is modeled after.
Really?
How can I say that? That wouldn't surprise me. because he used his powers as a sorcerer to get invited to loads of different kind of palaces and whatever, and then he just report back like a spy to the Queen. What a ledge! He was also best mates with Francis Bacon. Like, you know, these people kind of changed how the occult works worldwide, and there's just like, you know, awesome. And has anyone ever tried a Black Mirror? Seriously, they're amazing.
I did a black ink mirror way back 1977.
I got one right here.
I actually walked around. Oh, look at that. Look, beautiful. Yeah.
What is that?
It's an obsidian mirror.
I was going to say it's obsidian. That looks beautiful, man.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I made one.
Yeah,
I
you
made
can see
one for my
Fred in
girlfriend
it.
for Christmas. Yeah, and I used the black 3.0. It's like the blackest paint on the planet. Like
The
absorbs
Musso.
pretty much all light.
Musso Black.
Musso, yep. What is it, like 99.8 or 9% non-reflecting or something?
Yeah.
That's the point. So yeah, I just put that onto the back of a piece of glass. It's still not quite as good as obsidian. I'm not going to lie.
But it did work though.
Oh yeah, hey look, I was staring at it for 20 minutes and I was starting to get sweaty patterns, so I reckon it's gonna work really well for her. I actually walked around with my thumbnail painted black for quite some time because I read that. No, because honestly, I read
That's
that
great.
in Elias Levi, and he was saying that was kind of like the way lots of people were using black mirrors. That you just have it on your thumbnail, and you could just sit there and stare at your thumbnail, and you start to see the swirly patterns, and you start to see the images come out of it, and you wouldn't need any more than that, just a black fingernail. And it became quite a fashionable thing in the 1600s, apparently. Like all the trendy magicians had a painted black fingernail. So I thought I'd like get my frill on, get like one of them big big thing goes around your neck. Yeah, paint
Nostradamus
the fingernail
used an obsidian mirror.
Yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, I find it easier just to meditate, or just like to think. Then I don't need any.
Okay, so how do you know if something that you're being shown in a meditation is either something you're being shown because they're telling you a story, or you're being shown something it's your past life?
Well,
I found them very different experiences, dude. The past life thing is like you step into someone else and you know everything about them. It's like you are them. It's fucking weird. I don't know how to describe it.
Okay,
you know, when you think about something, you have all of the
gotcha.
memories that they think in that place and thinking about that thing. Yeah, whereas
Because
when you're in those meditation things, you're still you, and it's more this sense of wonder at this thing that you're experiencing. I don't know,
gotcha.
that's the best way I could describe the difference.
Because I was not in my meditation, I was not seeking a past life experience, but it was a story that was conveyed to me. But it was a story conveyed to me like, hey, remember this. I'm thinking now, I was being told to remember a story of where I'm from, like where a place was that I was from. Because it's a story about someone else.
Like a lot of the time, you got to look at kind of, are these things coming down to kind of, do they have another metaphysical interpretation? Like if you tried putting the story into one of like the young dream analysis things, like there's archetypal imagery that can come through in meditation that means things.
Oh,
so if you interact with those images,
Ed, there was so much esoteric.
But this is what I'm saying. If you take those things and you put them into like one of these kind of like things that takes the imagery, it can convert it into maybe like changing that story to give you a more esoteric understanding of what all the different bits mean as a flowing idea.
I've been writing it down for 2 days now. I'm trying to remember it. I've never
I love it when that happens, dude.
I've never had a meditation do that where it was like, okay, it would be like watching every single Star Wars movie, having watched them, okay, and then someone sitting down and saying, hey, tell me about that movie. And now you got to explain the whole entire, they know nothing about it. You have to explain the entire movie, all of it.
Fred, dude, that's why I stopped writing my meditations down, because I can meditate for an hour and then I'll be writing for like 4 hours just to try to get down
Yeah.
the shit that just got
Dude.
shoved in my head at some crazy speed.
Dude,
you can't
okay,
document it all. There's too much.
As I'm writing this down, if I write this out like a whole story, this is like a fucking epic. This woman is saving children that are being abandoned because the parents are all being killed by the hierarchials. They're being put to work and they're dying in their work, and then there's all these orphans. She's saving these orphans, and then some of them are starting to grow up, and they start banding together and saving more orphans and going to other villages and saving orphans, and it just starts a cumulative effect. And there's this mother who's caring and teaching all these children and young adults to care for themselves and to love each other and look out for each other and all this stuff. And eventually it gets to the point where two people that started out in this little village, a boy and a girl, they have to leave now because the soldiers are they're looking for workers. So if they see these older teenagers, they're going to kidnap them and take them to work. So they have to leave. So they start wandering village to village and picking up pointed people in each of these other villages. And I realized they are picking up fire, earth, air, and water. And they themselves started out as mind and spirit, the spirit egging the mind to do something to help people, and the mind coming back with logic and saying, okay, well, we do this, we have to do it correctly. And then creating some disciplinary things where the spirit, the woman, dude, it blew my mind as I'm writing this down. I'm like, what the fuck did it's like I'm remembering a movie I watched.
Dude, Fred, do you know what you're remembering?
What?
The book that you read where you're on DMT.
What book? Oh, that book? Dude, there was animals and everything. Well, there's animals in this too. Lots of weird animals.
I'm just saying that you take in a lot of information that you then have to unpack. Meditation's a very good way of unpacking this shit, dude.
My
What
brain.
you just described is a full-on alchemical ascension journey story. Of showing you what you've got to, combining the masculine and feminine, using logic and intuition to then master the elements, to then master you've got all the archetypal parts there, giving you your plan of what you've got to do.
It's a hexagram.
Decipher it and follow the plan, man.
It's insane. I'm just remembering bits and pieces, writing paragraphs like, oh, I remember this and I remember that and I remember this and I remember, oh, wait, that, and just going back and forth, and then I got to put it all together. So my brain is just going a million miles an hour right now. And, then you got 3D egging at you. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the usual way that I access past lives if I need to is, like I do a meditation and then I meditate into the soul world. And then I go to the libraries, the rectangular libraries, and then I ask, my spirit guide to present me a past life, and then they grab like a scroll from the library shelf, and then they unroll it for me, and then I can like start reading the scroll, and then I'm absorbed into the life, and then I see like a clip out of that particular life that's pertinent to this incarnation.
So how do you get in touch then specifically with a guide? Do you have to ask for that as well, I would imagine, or just attune your...
Well, I guess I have a long-standing relationship. Like we've talked about it before, earlier in this session. So basically, you just like through meditating. So what happened was, like, when I was doing my early enlightenment journey, like at first I had like lots of kind of voices, you could say, and then like some of them had like negative things to say, and some things had neutral things to say, and some things had more positive things to say, and then I was just like testing the spirits to see which ones gave me accurate information and consistently good outcomes. And then eventually I narrowed down, okay, this one was my spirit guide, because everything that she was saying was coming true and it was favorable to me. And so I was like, okay, this one, Isabella, that's the one. And then, so she's kind of like my go-to spirit guide. And then she might introduce me to someone else. And then like, so that's based on, my rapport with her. And so for a long time, I had a very, very close relationship where I would like second guess almost everything I would think or do. And I would like run it by my spirit guide before doing it. But then at some point she was like, okay, this is too much. You need to like live your own life too. And so I've kind of gotten more balanced now with that. Mm-hmm. So that's how it is.
Yeah, I understand everybody's going to get their own unique way of doing it. I like to hear how other people, do their things. That's why I listen to other people that have different ways that they meditate, different things they do during meditation, different, ways they meditate, different things they say, or different things that they have for intention, or different ways they set intention. It's all interesting because that's how kind of you find your own little sweet spots and things that work for you, things that don't work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything's gonna work for everybody. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I see Desiree. She typing away.
What's Desiree saying over there?
Yeah.
It's different for everyone.
She's
There's
being
no-
Desiree.
Oh, okay. No way. And also, just make the intent to connect with your guide and go into silent meditation or whatever. If you want music, don't overcomplicate it for you. Okay. Yes, Desiree's right. Yeah, if you want to, you will connect.
Fucker, why does it keep muting me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Yay!
Well, something I just unmuted it and then something literally just muted me. That's fucking weird. No, Fred, obviously. I was just saying because I know how people can get hooked on one way, thinking that that's the only way, and then when they don't get it, and it doesn't work for them, then they beat themselves up about it, and then they never try again or whatever. So I was
No,
simply
that's
pointing
why
out
I've
the fact
been
that there's many ways.
I've been trying different things and having different experiences. That's why I just like to see what other people are doing, because maybe there's something I haven't tried that makes something go ding ding. I'm like, oh, I want to try that. So no, nothing negative. I just
My spirit guide kind of spirit animal situation is a bit strange because I'd already kind of formed my relationship with Gink, my little servitor fox thing I've spoken about before, yeah?
Okay.
I've spoken about Gink, yeah? So, because I'd already kind of formed this relationship with Gink, it seemed that when I was doing the work to meet my spirit guides or whatever else, it's that Gink was always with me, and it seemed like he kind of became the embodiment of those things. Like, so instead of me needing to have another visualization that my mind had to kind of read those energies and form something that was that, it was like Gink would take on those energies and guide me in that way. So, like say that you've got your spirit energies, whatever else. Obviously, they are energies. They are probably all light beings that you then translate into something that you perceive, right? So, where I was working with Gink, it just like he takes on those forms, and then it's like I'm talking to a like spirit guide empowered version of Gink. Or does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got a weird kind of situation with mine because I'm
Well,
not even sure what they are behind
we're all one,
Gink's cute little fox face.
and so Gink is also one, and so all of the, it's kind of like having a monitor, and your monitor in your mind is set up as Gink, and so any spirit that wants to speak through them can do so.
Exactly. I love Gink. He's so awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right. Did we want to read another quote, Robert? I think this one is kind of related.
I'm chewing on some peanuts right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm good. A reading from January 16th of 2005. The ways of penetrating the veil of forgetting are limited within incarnation. There is the dreaming process, and those who work with dreams are often able to recover memory of past lives as they gradually find themselves in dream landscapes which constitute a different environment that begins to have a reality of its own. Absolutely.
There you go.
That's why for my lifetime, it seems like when I've looked at dreams, it's like that is another reality somewhere that I am experiencing, or sometime, or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Well, Fred isn't here right now, but that was one of my giveaways when I'm having a past life memory, is that it doesn't have any basis in my present life, and so it's like, where did all of this, different environment having a reality of its own come from? And the only logical conclusion is that, oh, this must be from a past life.
And then I've been recognized in the dream living this life of someone else, but then I am seen as me looking through it as in the dream, because the participants on that end are responding to me like all of a sudden I'm a different person. I'm not the one they knew that I was supposed to be. It's hard to describe.
Mm. So, as in, like, your past life was channeling your current life?
Somebody was recognizing that there was somebody else there at the moment that wasn't normally there.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm. Cool. So this one is also kind of related. Did you want to read it?
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to full screen me here. I'm getting it.
Oh,
I
sorry.
got it.
Okay. There you go.
I forgot I have the power to.
Oh, okay.
A reading from November 8th of 2008. D has a question. He says, I've been having memories of different worlds and even being of different sentient species and performing tasks on different worlds designed to increase the harvest. I remember past lives both here and on other worlds. I believe I am a wanderer and a pre-incarnate one who incarnates early in third density to readjust to third density life in preparation for this present period where spiritual evolutionary advancement is occurring. I feel in my heart that these memories are real, and I would like to ask Ko-O to confirm this.
All right. Well, I can look up the session number to see if they confirm it. But that sounds pretty classic.
Yeah.
Confirm. So we are those of Kuo, and we're aware of the query, and can indeed confirm that this entity is indeed a wanderer, and that his suppositions are fundamentally accurate. That's
That was short. Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
and not
yeah.
like Ra. Not like Ra. They went straight to the answer. They didn't skirt around it a little bit because of free will.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that Ra says that if the person is confident, then they're allowed to confirm what they're already confident of, but they're not allowed to do the free will thing if the person is undecided.
I bet, yeah. If they're more than 51% confident.
Mm-hmm. All right. Here, let's try another one, I guess. unless you guys want to. Yeah, okay, we'll do this one, and then we'll see if people want to do something else.
And this reading is from February 11 of 2023. Each entity on the spiritual path has these choices that are most powerful within the life path of the seeker of truth. For they are choices that you have made previous to the incarnation after determining what lessons you have learned in past lives and what lessons remain in order for you to be able to open your heart in unconditional love to all entities about you. For this is the great lesson of the third density illusion. And when it is accomplished, it makes the seeker available for the harvest and to the fourth density of love and understanding. This is a journey that all share within the third density, and we are sure that your desire to know will draw unto you the answers you need.
Nice.
Well, I'm beginning to feel honored to be able to read for you guys, so thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you as well. All right. I don't know. Did everyone go?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Except Ed. He's there. I see you. Yep,
Oh, Michelle says she's still here. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that was a nice one. Yeah. Basically, lessons of love, and then we'll be in the fourth density.
Yeah.
Did we want to cover anything else today?
So we've pretty much talked about past lives,
Mm-hmm.
experiencing them firsthand, or at least trying. I didn't say something that I was going to say about. There's a thing I thought might have been occurring in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I called it recapitulation, where it seems like I have to live certain achievements that were the result of past lives. They had to happen within this one lifetime. So it like when you're a very young person, there's an achievement you get that's a result of past life stuff somewhere, something. And there's a number of them throughout your life, many of them. And every now and then I would get that feeling like I just passed one. It's been weird.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like you feel this change and a realization, and you get like a deep inner vision of something, and you know that you did something to advance on the path that you were set to walk upon.
Yeah, I think there's kind of like a spiral. Like there's a holographic similarity between their different lives, and each life is kind of like a summary of the previous lives that we've had.
That's why exactly. It's because the spiral, when you look at it from the top, it's just a circle, basically. It could be just looking like a circle. But if you rotate it any degrees away from that, you'll notice that it's spiraling in a pattern. And each of those rungs is connected sort of in a movement through time space.
Here, this is the very next quote, and it's actually exactly on the topic you're just talking about. Here. 2021, December 1st. These processes are repeated so often in the entity's life, and often so mindlessly indeed, and perhaps even carried over from past lives, that they become etched into the workings of the entity, becoming part of its makeup or configuration, shall we say, which would show up in your energy systems as a blockage, imbalance, or dimming of the radiance that is available through each chakra, which is to say that the self-judgment may not always be consciously undertaken activity. The self, in a moment, in its experience, may not be consciously thinking, I am unworthy, not belong, unacceptable in whatever ways the energies may be articulated by an entity, but rather these gears often are operating in the background. So yeah, people can basically get stuck in various cycles, and our kind of goal is to unblock those blockages and help bring those loops to a conclusion.
That's why my recapitulations. It's a feedback loop that I'm stuck in still.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a life where I got a message today of all the times too. It was pretty loud and clear. You know, you have a limited amount of time left, so you there's
so you better get to it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I actually feel that this has actually given me quite a lot to kind of think about with my little conundrum. Does anyone else have any ideas on what I should do about communicating with this guy if he is trying to communicate with me?
So, like, I don't usually, usually I'm satisfied, and my past life is satisfied just with the knowledge of the existence of the future or the past self. And it's kind of like just giving them like some reassurance, like, yeah, it's gonna be okay. Yes, what you're doing is like worthwhile, or like meditating on the mountainside in Tibet like 1,000 years ago. When I was there, it was hard for me to understand that it would be worth it in the end. But then, like, from my current past life, I can connect with that one. It's like, yeah, I'm in Shambhala or whatever, and it was worth it. Totally keep going, keep meditating, keep doing those mantras, and it'll all be worth it in the end. And so,
Okay, all right. So if I communicate with him and I say, dude, don't be a Nazi, yeah, Hitler's going to lose and you're going to get your skin burnt off. Don't be a Nazi. Yeah, open your heart chakra now. Stop all the fucking dark shit. Let's do some light work together. Yeah, and then say that he listens to me. He changes. He doesn't do all the fucking hardcore occult shit for Hitler. And instead he goes off and lives some light worker's life, evolving and becoming enlightened instead of going all fucked up and evil, right? Would that change who I am? Have we just created a spiritual paradox?
I think it could. I think it'll present to you as a multiple choice question where you're going to be given various options, because those are multiple pathways that could all happen because of the ramifications of what you did. So you're going to experience some time or place where you were tested to see which direction you're going to go on that. So you can change him, yes, but are you going to experience it? Maybe.
So I wanted to add also that it's the Confederation makes it pretty clear that telling people not to do things is service to self. So you can't tell them to like stop being a Nazi or something, but you can encourage them to do more light work or something like that.
I'm not saying you must stop under my orders. No, miniature lesser self. No. I'm saying, like, dude, you're on the wrong side. Stop it. The Fuhrer's leading you astray. Let's go and do something good. Go and do something better. Yeah, if I was to say that and he listened to me and he did, and then he didn't go through the things he went through, that means he wouldn't provide the catalyst that I'd have going into this incarnation. Like, would my whole entire life change? Would I completely change the timeline that I'm on? What if the occult ritual that he was doing or whatever needed to be done, and then Hitler ended up winning the war? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's lots of variables here.
Yes, there are many variables, and like I wouldn't put too much time into it. But if you want to encourage the love and kindness that I'm sure is in their life as well, then that will amplify
Yeah.
the love and kindness in your current life, you know, and then the gentleness and the kindness, and honestly, like the main point of growth for you here, it seems to me, is forgiving and loving that incarnation and what it has contributed to the way that you are now. And then, you know, aiming just to do better next time, and then also using that to help you forgive other people who may be Nazis or whatever, like those Ukrainian Nazis or whatever other kinds.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, this whole conversation has given me quite a lot to kind of, you know, think about it. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fully. That's just thinking about it is already kind of done. Yeah, it's not a case of like I hate him because he's a Nazi. I just can't believe that's, you know, as we've just seen, the biases and everything, like kind of a contributing factor to who I am, I suppose. You know, I'm just saying that, like, you know, if in this communication, should I be worried about causing some kind of temporal loops? Am I going to
No.
create new timelines by interacting with this guy? You know,
You
in
don't have
whatever
to worry
regard?
about that.
You're specifically referring to the guy that's meditating. That's you in the meditation, right?
Yeah, me and my past life, who's meditating,
Yeah.
trying to contact his next life.
Have,
Yeah,
have
while
you
I'm
ever?
meditating, trying to contact my past life. So we then have an open route of communication that I'm like, oh my God, shit. Oh, what the fuck's happening? And I run away. But it's still sitting there waiting.
What if you go in when you see them, sit down next to them and meditate with them?
Dude, it's like I am him and he is me
Yeah.
in that instant. It's really fucking weird.
Then do
there's not
what
two
you're
of us.
doing.
But like, dude, honestly, it's a really weird fit. It's a weird experience.
Dude,
Whatever you're comfortable with.
reality is stranger than fiction every time.
I'm worried that, yeah, this guy knows a lot more about this shit than me. And then I'm sitting down meditating. He's actually just scanning my brain for bits of technology he could use to win the fucking war for the Nazis. You don't get how much stress is putting on my head.
So I would recommend, you know, what you could do is you could connect with your future life.
Okay,
and then
right
get
now
some
I tried
tips.
doing that as well. I told you that didn't go great either. That was
Oh.
some disgusting looking, huge, horrible creature thing that I had to beam love at just to be able to communicate with. I'm not doing well here. I feel like I'm on my own. Help.
Ed, this sounds like the plot to a really awesome fucking movie.
Dude, that is my life. Straight up.
We should write a script.
I could not make this shit up. This is the thing. Right? This is like, when this stuff happens, I'm shocked. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh my God, what is going on here?
Did you ever see the movie Jacob's Ladder?
No, is that a Stephen King thing?
Don't watch it.
Okay.
You probably shouldn't watch that movie.
Why is this about this? Does this stuff happen in that?
It's really weird what happens to that guy. What was it? Did you see it, Robert? No. Michelle?
Anyway, it's okay. It's okay. I'll watch it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's more just like how do I approach this communicating with what is possibly a kind of risk for changing the future for everybody? You know, how do I speak to this guy? And if I do, how do I communicate? Whatever. And can I just say, how do I approach the speaking to my future self thing? Everyone's like, call in your higher self. They will come and help you. I'm scared shitless to do that. I don't want to do that. Like,
Well,
I don't want to drag its disgusting, grotesque form to these beautiful Christian cathedrals of light I'm sitting in.
So I think that perhaps you need to go farther ahead to your sixth density self. Because
that is it. It is begging me to help it get love back so it can move on.
Oh, okay. Well, that then maybe you are in one of those pivotal lifetimes where you can help both your future and your past selves.
That's exactly what I feel like I am. I feel like I'm like this linchpin incarnation that's going to save them all. By like, you know,
That's very
the
good.
last one, I'm going to forgive him, try and help him to sort out his things so he's not quite as evil. The ones in the future, I'm going to say, come on, guys, I'm opening my heart chakra now. We're making different choices. Everything's going to be about love now. And the one off in the future is like, oh, yes, give me all that love. I want to get nicer. And like, that's going to be my whole reason to live.
That's great. That's great. Wow. Well, so it sounds like we've got a lot to think about this weekend. All right. Well, it's past 9, so I'm gonna
Love you guys.
Okay. Leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai.
I don't know.
All right. Okay.